Today I'm going to be taking a 5-hour first-class train to Kyiv, the capital city of Ukraine. It's worth mentioning that when I booked this trip, things were not quite as hairy as they are today. In fact, I thought it was going to be a bit of an easy one. Then things started to really get real and heat up. So here I am. But what else was I going to do? Lose the deposit? No. A long and tedious train that, but it was very comfortable, and we had a nice chicken curry which was also quite good. Now we're off to an icon of Kyiv hospitality, the Hotel Ukraine, and we're going to see what the city's got in store for us. There she is, big old girl, built in 1961 by the Soviets as a sort of key standout hotel in the city. Still going, and apparently still got a lot of its original vibe, so let's go in and have a look, see if it's still giving us that Soviet edge. It's a little bit old school, got a bit of a shining vibe, but I did get a very good price on it. It cost me about £40 a night for like a slightly upgraded room, and I thought, why would that be? Well, as it turns out, there had been a rocket attack on this building only 2 months before, and as I was checking in, I did see that the ceiling had collapsed over the desk. So, slightly ominous. And then another piece of information, as I was on the train, got some news that the Ukrainian government has been asked to step down. So, I'm getting one of those feelings that you sometimes get in life where you feel like you may have bitten off a little bit more than you can chew. But as ever, we'll make the best of a bad situation. Oh. You know what, in some sense, that's exactly what I wanted. Well, we've survived the night, and by good fortune, we've actually rocked up in a place that might give us a better insight into the recent history of Ukraine than pretty much any other place in Kyiv, or maybe even any other place in Ukraine. So we're at the top actually of something that's called the Maidan Square, or Independence Square, and the indication of that is this massive statue right at the top here, which represents the independence of Ukraine from the Soviet Union in 1991. However, the square also is significant for another, more prescient and more modern reason as well. So let's have a look at the square below and have a little bit of story time. Now, in 2014, this place was the scene of an absolutely enormous controversy. The president of Ukraine at that time was a guy called Viktor Yanukovych, who was basically a pro-Russian candidate. He especially believed in the rights of the Russian minority in eastern Ukraine. But at a similar time, Ukraine, as it has been for quite a long time, was trying to gain closer ties with the EU because it wanted economic and social integration, whatever. Now, this had all been basically agreed until, out of the blue, Yanukovych decides he's going to use a veto and stop any further Ukrainian integration to the EU, which led to an enormous protest here at the Maidan Square. The people of Ukraine were incredibly angry. They were looking forward to the benefits that EU integration was going to give them, and suddenly it had been snatched away from them. So at this massive demonstration here in the square, they let the government know what they thought about it, and the government responded with bullets, killing numerous protesters. Well, as you can imagine, this went absolutely ballistic and led to the overthrow of the Yanukovych government in what has been termed the Revolution of Dignity. And you can see that represented on these plinths all around the square. How does that link to the present day? Well, there's only one man, isn't there? Vladimir Putin used this as an excuse to roll the tanks into eastern Ukraine and to annex the Crimea, saying that he was protecting the rights of these ethnic Russians who he said had been unfairly treated by this revolution of dignity. And that has basically set the foundation for today's Ukraine and the slightly challenging Ukraine that I'm currently in. As I was finishing off in the square, I was accosted by friendly local volunteer Vladimir, who insisted on giving me a guided tour of the famous war memorial situated just nearby.
Colombia, Brazil, Chile, Bastion.
Wow.
Venezuela. It's Peter Fouché.
Oh, I heard it. He was in the news.
Medic plus Medicina is a volunteer. 6 July 2024. It's a
Wow.
Australian British citizen.
Yeah.
Georgian, Sakartvelo, British, New Zealand,
Wow.
Brazil.
Okay. Thank you, Vladimir.
Moment. Sweden, Colombia.
Sweden.
Sweden. Denmark, British Faroes, New Zealand,
Wow.
America. It's England. All it's a free.
What's that?
One month. Lithuanian. It's a Ukrainian all the dynasty British.
Yeah. Wow. It's incredibly sad, isn't it? Well, thank you for showing me, Vladimir.
Moment. It's my flowers.
Yeah.
One new flowers.
Yeah.
New Zealand, Christopher Perryman.
Wow. Thousands and thousands and thousands of flags for everybody, yeah.
100 minimum, 100,000 people.
Really?
Flags.
Wow.
Minimum 3,5 thousand Colombia.
Colombia?
Colombia is the goodest warriors. Is a good little. Today, excuse me, my English.
Yeah, no.
Today, Schwarzenegger, Micro Rambo, Don.
Yeah.
Today, new war. Today, minimum, mouse,
Yeah.
Colombia, mouse.
Yeah.
Understand me?
Yes, I do understand, yeah. Next, I stumbled across an equally arresting sight. A selection of vehicles, both military and civilian, which had been destroyed in the fighting on the Eastern Front. The exhibition stood in stark contrast to the relative idyll of St Michael's Church, and I was bemused and baffled to note that some madman had decided to put a Glasgow Rangers sticker on one of the windows of the destroyed vehicles. So now, I'm entering the Park of Eternal Glory, which was built to commemorate the Second World War. I'll be totally honest, not really feeling filming in Kyiv that much. It's for two main reasons. Firstly, it's in a state of martial law, so filming stuff is actually a total nightmare. There's loads of rules, which is obviously entirely understandable. But I had watched loads of videos before coming here of different people doing this, and I had thought, well, that's weird, they're not getting much great footage where normally they'd go get amongst it, get the camera out on the street. But here obviously you've got to constantly avoid accidentally filming soldiers or this or that. So logistically speaking, it is a bit of a pain. But on a different level, when I was on that train from Lviv over to Kyiv, I had a bit of a Damascene moment where I thought, this is ridiculous. What we're doing here is totally ridiculous. Because I'm sat there taking B-roll of myself eating a chicken curry or like reclining on a chair, and then I was looking forward at a guy like 3 seats in front of me, and he must have been about 19, and he had his full military fatigues on and his backpack with his battalion badge on or whatever. I thought, he's actually going to a war. Like, that's clearly what he's doing here. And I, who am about 18 years older than him, and wasting my time eating chicken curry for people on YouTube to probably not even watch. So in some sense I did think, what are you doing here? This is an actual war, and I think sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that. Just think, oh great, Ukraine, brilliant, great country, let's go and do a video. But actually what I've come to realise, maybe not realise, but actually appreciate fully, and it sounds like a totally stupid thing to say, but that it is a real war. You know, I went and saw the memorial with that guy Vladimir, and he's telling me about all these guys he knew. I'm pointing to their flags and they died and all this. You know, I think sometimes when we see it on the news, you think, oh, it's just numbers, isn't it, and words. But it's very difficult to put into perspective. And when you're here and you're seeing lads walking around the streets wearing their uniforms, it becomes real. And filming stuff just of yourself tooling around just feels totally futile and puerile. What was the word? I had a good word thinking about it. Chastening. I thought, this is a chastening experience as I watched the lad on his train from Lviv to the east. So that's one of my closing thoughts in Kyiv, I think. I'm going to put in lots of the different cool things I saw while I was here, because definitely there's a lot of them. But whereas I'd normally go out and about with a camera, shove it into people's faces, chat away, I don't really think that's the right thing to do here. And I'm probably gonna talk more on that in some final thoughts.
So what do I think about Ukraine for the average Joe? Well, to be honest, it's great. I was dragged to a ballet which only cost £2, but on the same day I went to a beer festival featuring what I assume is the Ukrainian answer to Limp Bizkit. The food is unbelievable, and the people, once you crack through that classic Slavic veneer, are incredibly warm and friendly, which frankly amazed me considering everything they've been through. However, it does get pretty real, especially in Kyiv. I did spend a night underground when the Russians sent a ballistic missile our way. You will see boarded up buildings and war remnants, and you will notice an eerie absence of fighting age males. Despite this, I do believe that if you can handle the edge, you should come and spend your money in this amazing country, especially in the West. The only thing I wouldn't advise is trying to make frothy travel content about it. It is trivialising something very real, and you will probably look a bit of a prat.
Well, did you enjoy those final reflections? I thought they were really wise and thought-provoking. But sadly that brings us to the end of our time here in Ukraine. And what better place to do it than here, the monument to the motherland. Overlooking Kyiv with its flag twin, an incredible monument to an incredible country. Next time I think we'll try and see something a little bit more open and where we can actually film some stuff and speak to some people. But otherwise, until next time, see you later.